guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me for another one of my videos today. So today, I'm so excited to talk about this. It's another manifestation story, which I love filming these, when they do happen. So I thought I would share with you today how I manifested my second book deal. Now, let's get a few facts straight here. A lot of you may be saying, well, Emma, we know you have a book publisher, you have your first book. Was it a manifestation that you are releasing a second book? Yes and no. So what I'm going to explain to you today is how the universe even brought this about. So what I mean is I am with a new book publisher, and this happened literally a few weeks ago. It is the most craziest, most synchronistic story ever. Even the publisher is like, yeah, this is like totally like a universal synchronicity that this has even happened. So it is a crazy story. It is a wonderful story, and I am super happy to be able to share this with you today. So as you guys will know, I've been very vocal over the last years about wanting to manifest a traditional book publishing deal. And last summer, I signed my book deal with That Guy's House, which is my first book publisher for Spiritual Queen. And when I came across Sean, it was so aligned because I knew that book had to come out with him. I knew that book had to come out as it was, not be changed. And it just felt in alignment to me to have that authenticity with that book and for it to come out that way. So really the stars definitely did align with Spiritual Queen, and I'm just so grateful that I'm able to work with such an authentic, good publisher who has my best interests at heart, who has every author's best interests at heart. And from that, I've been able to then mentor my 7 authors and bring their books to life and help them, go out into the world as an author. So really, that journey in itself has been so life-changing for me and so good. And I'm just so grateful that I have that opportunity and have brought Spiritual Queen into the world, and that it has just had so much amazing feedback from you guys. So thank you all so much to all of you who have purchased Spiritual Queen or given a review on Amazon or have sent me lovely messages on Instagram or shown me your pictures. Like, it fills my heart with so much joy. So the story behind this, and obviously the story continues in the book, I explain of how Positively Wealthy, which is the title of my new book, actually came about. So a lot of you guys will know that Positively Wealthy was due to be released in April 2020. This is the plan I went along. So this time last year, obviously I was getting prepared to launch Spiritual Queen, and Spiritual Queen launched in January. And on the book launch evening, we hired a psychic, a local lovely psychic, and she came and did some readings, and I obviously got in first so I could go and chat to everybody all evening, otherwise I wouldn't have had a chance. And she said to me, your next book's going to be about money. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, I've held up my coupon queen crown. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not. I don't want to write about money. I'm all about law of attraction and spirituality now. So I laughed it off basically. And how the universe was to show me that no, your book really is going to be about money. So after that reading, I was just enjoying the launch of Spiritual Queen, enjoying not writing for once, and enjoying the moment, being grateful, and focusing on different aspects of my business as well. And then kind of February time, more and more conversations kept coming up from my spiritual peers and friends saying, Emma, you're really good with money. You really need to talk about this with people. In the spiritual sphere, there is a really negative relationship with money, and especially with spiritual businesses, they're just not that abundant. They have this weird relationship, and they said, you have such a grounded, abundant approach to money and wealth, and you've done so much. You need to share this with people. And I was like, yeah, I guess I have always been good with money. Yeah, I guess I am really good at manifesting money. I got myself debt free, sold my business, manifested tons of money. Money does seem to flow to me easily. And I thought, but I have also had a negative relationship with money when I was in debt, when I was younger. So I thought, do you know what? Yeah, I don't talk about this enough. And I think because I'd kind of hung up my coupon queen crown, sold my couponing business, that I thought, well, as much as I love talking about money, is it still relevant? And I found that yes, it really was. So Positively Wealthy was my second book. I thought was going to be about something completely different, but then I got the download that was my third book, not my second book. And then I finally had the download of Positively Wealthy and investigating what real wealth means to me, and the universe sent me on this whole journey of fulfillment, this whole Positively Wealthy journey of redefining my version of wealth. and finding fulfillment in the now and having a healthy, abundant relationship with money. So the universe sent me along that journey, and then I was like, oh, this is a book, isn't it? Yes, this is a book. So in March, I started pitching the proposal to traditional publishers. So I wanted to give myself that opportunity. As much as I love being with Sean, he is what is classed as a hybrid publisher. So there's two very different things. You've got traditional publishing, which is very much like your Hay Houses, you know, like Penguin, HarperCollins, you know, I'm trying to think of publishers now. So yeah, they're your like traditional publishers as such, which obviously have a distribution into like Waterstones, WH Smith, Barnes & Noble, and that's how you get distribution into bookstores. Whereas with a hybrid publisher, it's mainly online. So Spiritual Queen is obviously available across like 40,000 online websites, I think it is, and it is on the Waterstones website, it is on the WH Smith website, and it's on the Barnes & Noble website. But because of the way it's printed, which is a print on demand service, and the distribution is online only, the bookstores aren't able to get them in and stock them on the shelves. So you can create a personal relationship with bookstores and do that, but how hybrid publishing works is a little bit different. And along my Spiritual Queen journey, I kind of found out that actually I was hitting a lot of roadblocks, and it was a lot of work to sort of overcome that, as such, as positive as I was, and kept going. So I knew for Positively Wealthy, I had to do things differently, and I really vibed that. I really vibed it has to be done differently this time, because I just knew that this book was going to be a book which puts me on the map, a good book that, you know, is going to be read a lot, basically, to put it that way. So I thought, no, I have to look at this properly. I have to look at this in a way which is following that intuition of a traditional distribution. So I pitched my book to pretty much all of the publishers I had pitched Spiritual Queen to, and again got a lot of rubbish, messed around, false promises. It was just like really, here we go again. So basically I thought, right, that's another sign from the universe that these are just not meant for you. Like, look how unaligned it feels. So in the end, I waited until about, I'm sure it was May. So I was really honest with Sean, and he actively encouraged me to pitch to traditional publishers. And that's what I love about Sean so much, is that he honestly has everybody's best interest at heart, and he's not like other publishers, which would obviously be very selfish and would be very marketing and money orientated. So that's what I love about Sean, his authenticity and his support with every author regardless. And, you know, I kept him in the loop, and I said, look, nothing sort of, you know, come up from this. I'm happy to sign with you for this. And we had talks about obviously looking into different distribution where we could do it more traditionally. So do it differently to how Spiritual Queen had come out, which would not only advance that guy's house, but also allow me to have a more traditional book launch like normal book publishers would do, or traditional book publishers. So we'd gone along that for about 11 months. We'd, you know, up until pretty much a month ago, we'd been researching, we had been looking into this, finding distribution centers, finding it all. Like, we were doing the groundwork as such to make this happen, and that was the intention for Positively Wealthy. And in about July, I think we had a Mercury retrograde, and I said to Sean, I'm happy to sign with you, but I said I keep getting weight. And I remember I'd had a reading with Rachel as well, actually, in the June, and she'd said to me, yeah, it is a weight, you don't even need this reading, it is a weight. And I was like, why is there a weight? I couldn't work out. I was like, I know it's Sean, I know that I want to re-sign with that guy's house, so why do I need to wait? So I waited until Mercury retrograde was over, and I was like, yeah, it feels good to sign with Sean. So I re-signed with that guy's house for my second book, and I was like, great, there we go, there's the answer. So obviously since that August point, I've been working hard to finish the manuscript, working on the resources inside of the book. I mean, this book is bigger and better. I have put everything into this book. There are resources, there are meditations, I'm not even going to say what there is, but I'm so excited because I'm probably not allowed to say what there is yet. But I'm so excited for what I had put into this book before this opportunity even came about. So because with Sean, it's more you focused of, you do the marketing, you do the kind of, you know, the extras of the book. I'd obviously got to work. I was the Virgo. I was like, done. I had a book tour planned up, all of it. I was like, boom, done, organized. And this time it's going to be, you know, a real strong marketing launch. Like, I've got everything lined up. Yes, I even have a PR manager. I even hired a lovely PR manager who again is so aligned. Like, it worked out perfectly. So I did everything. I was like, I'm ready for this. It's gonna launch in April, which means the pre-order would go up in February. I had it all in my timeline. I was like, yes. So really, I'd finished the manuscript about a month ago, and that was that. I was just waiting for a few extra things to come in from people supporting me with it, and that was it. I was just waiting for that December deadline. I sent it to test readers to get their feedback as well. All the feedback was incredible. So thank you if you were a test reader. Like, it has been an interesting, like, it's an interesting thing to do test reading this time, because although I know and trust that this is good, you know, I just wanted to know that it was manageable for other people, that other people understood it, that it was clear. So it was good to have that confirmation from a whole variety of people who have read it and, you know, were like, yes, we get this. We are with you. It's good. So it was amazing to have that. And yeah, we've got some awesome quotes and, you know, example stories of manifestation stories to use in the book, which is fantastic. So here I was, like, going out with that guy's house, all is well, all is planned. Emma's been an absolute pro at organising everything. And then Mercury retrograde happened in November. Now, I have spoken to a lot of my clients and friends, peers, everybody, and there is not one person who has said to me Mercury retrograde was easy. Oh Lord, no. It was a faceplant month for all of us, I feel. And I feel it's just gonna be a case where we just don't talk about November. Like, November, it's done. We don't talk about November. But interestingly, amongst the face planting, amongst the challenges and struggles that arised for myself during that Mercury retrograde, Sean had been going back to the distribution centres with a lot of questions we had, and because it was my investment to do that print run and do it traditionally, I obviously, you know, rightly so as a business person, had a lot of questions of how this worked, to understand it and know that my investment was safe and that it was good to do this. So Sean and his team were fantastic for obviously doing all the back and forth questions and finding out the information. But what we kind of decided upon probably, like, you know, a good month ago was it just didn't feel right to either of us. And I've missed a really important part out of this story, of course. So when I was talking to Sean before I signed my book deal with him the second time, he was saying, I get its weight too. I said to him, Sean, my psychic said this, I feel it too. I've been getting weight for a long while. And I said, I don't know why. And he said, I don't feel it's a question of the publisher. And I said, I don't feel it's a question of the publisher. He said, I think it's when the book will come out. And I said, I absolutely agree with you. So it's interesting that me and Sean's intuitions were on the same vibe of, it wasn't a question of the publisher, it was a question of when that book would come into the world. So I'd had my heart, like, I vibe into numerology, I vibed into everything, and obviously I was like, April feels good to me with a February pre-launch, because obviously that would be the time of my summit in London, so it'd be a great time to celebrate the pre-launch. So I thought, you know, all of that was lined up. I really loved April as a month. I thought that it was a very good month to really start that with people, and a good time for people to really reset and, you know, do this challenge as such in the book. But, you know, I was also flowing. So I was open if there was delays. I was open if the distribution side needed more time. So I wasn't fixed in my April, but it was our ballpark figure as such. So when Sean and I obviously had a talk about a month ago about the distribution, neither of us felt that it was a hell yes. And I think that was our big indication. And again, big respect to Sean for this. He, you know, messaged me, emailed me and said, like, I don't want to give you false promises. This is your money, your investment, and I don't want your book to be the guinea pig of this, and like to make those false promises of that distribution when, you know, they're still quite relatively small publisher. So getting it into those bookstores as a guarantee is a big promise. It's a big ask. And I've learned that from being a part of this journey as well, that those relationships have to be cultivated, and, you know, it takes time to do that. So I have so much admiration for Sean to just be honest with that and be like, I'm not putting your money at risk here. So he suggested that we do it the way that Spiritual Queen had come out. He said, you know, we know that's proven, we know it works. It's how we've run that guy's house for 3-4 years. So he was like, you know, I just think we're a couple years still off that, and I don't want your investment to be the guinea pig of it. You know, I want us as a publisher to be able to do that and offer that to authors. So I absolutely respected him for that. And I think, you know, we were both in agreement of it just didn't quite feel right. We had a lot of questions still. We had a lot of what ifs, and, you know, it just didn't feel like, yes, this is the right thing to do. And we are both very intuitive, and I think we knew that there was a reason for this. There was a reason why we had this like roadblock. So I really thought, you know, during everything else that happened in Mercury retrograde, so I was like, great, this is another thing to add to the list of spiritual solutions that I really need right now. So I basically I got that email on like the Monday morning from Sean, and I just thought, right, I'm not going to reply straight away. I'm just going to sit with this for a bit, see how I feel. And my whole intuition, like I spoke to a couple of my friends and my parents, and I was like, my whole intuition says this book has to come out traditionally. This book has to come out a different way. It has to be available with this distribution. And I said, I don't know why. I don't know why I'm so like firm in this, but I said, I know when my intuition is so solid in something, I have to follow that. I said, this isn't even a, you know, I thought about it. Okay, how would it feel to just, you know, accept that that book would come out the same way as Spiritual Queen? And you know, I went through my worst case scenario. I said, right, okay, how would it feel? And I said, well, I would just have to trust that that's the way that it was meant to happen, and that at some point the universe would, you know, bring another publisher along to buy it out later on, and it would come out in the right way at that point. So I said, I know either way another publisher's going to come in, but I think it's surrendering the when. So really I was okay with what Sean had said, like I would have to be, but I also thought, I know what my soul is telling me here, and it doesn't feel right just accepting that. So I thought, okay, maybe I need to go and find a spiritual solution. Maybe me and my PR lady, we're gonna find a solution here, because she's really on the ball with publishing as well. So I said, look, we can find a solution. So I sat with it, and I knew that I couldn't just settle for that. And that wasn't, I don't know what it was that intuition, it was that knowing of, it didn't feel good to just accept that and stop. It was like I had to find a solution here. So I sat with it and I said, right, angels, right, universe, I know what I'm vibing here. I know what I trust. I know what my intuition is screaming at me. I know this book needs to come out differently. I know this book needs to come out traditionally. Please send me a solution of the highest good. What can I do here? How can I, like, what do I need to do? So that was like Monday lunchtime after I'd had the email in the morning. And then at literally 3 p.m. that day, I had an email from a book publishing company, a traditional book publishing company, saying, hey Emma, just wondered if you fancied writing a book for us about money mindset and manifesting money. And I was like, I have a whole book on that I've just written. So I thought, that's a bit of a coincidence, right? And so basically, to explain this, a week before, I'd gone into my local WH Smith and I picked up every spiritual magazine and got all the editorial contacts for my PR lady and for myself, so we could pitch to spiritual magazines for April, for the launch, to get an article in there to obviously talk about Positively Wealthy, talk about money mindset, and to obviously promote the book as well. So this publishing company also have a magazine, and I'd contacted the magazine. So I thought, that's a bit weird that I've emailed the magazine a week before, and then the publishing house emailed me a week later asking for the exact book. So I was like, yeah, I'm not buying this. The editor has clearly sent this to them. Like, I was like, I've got it all sussed. So anyway, I thought I'll entertain it. We'll see how it goes, because clearly I have not had, should we say, very positive experiences with traditional publishing houses before. So I thought, we'll entertain it. We'll see where this goes. And I was almost in that stage of, do you know what? I've got nothing to lose here, like nothing to lose. I already have a great publisher. I'm looking for spiritual solutions. I'll entertain it. Let's see how this goes. Like, you know, I'm here for it. We'll see what happens, sort of thing. So I replied to the lady and I was like, that's really funny you say that. I have a whole manuscript which was due to be released in April on that exact topic that you are asking for. So she was like, obviously I didn't say it sarcastically like that. And she was like, wow, you know, that is a massive synchronicity from the universe. She's like, what's the odds? She said, I've had this book idea for a while. And like, I spoke to her on the phone, like, you know, it was very quick, because I obviously said to them, like, I really don't want to put you in a rushed position, but I said, I literally have to hand that manuscript into Sean in 2 weeks time for editing. So I said, if this is a thing, you know, obviously I did not believe it was going to be a thing at all. I believed there was going to be all the rubbish I had experienced before of messing around, compromises that I wasn't happy with, and not being able to be authentic, which is a massive, you know, point to me, which I hold, you know, which I won't compromise on. So I thought, right, I'm just gonna put all my cards on the table. I have nothing to lose. I'm not going to be diva-ish, that's not who I am, but I'm just going to say, you know, this is how it is, basically. So I said, you know, I have to hand this manuscript in the first week of December. So I literally have 2 weeks, basically. And she was like, send me the manuscript, send me the proposal today, we're talking tomorrow. And I was like, okay, this is new. That's never been said before. So I sent across my manuscript, I've sent over my proposal, which I had to do a bit of updating on because obviously that was from March before I'd even written the entire book. So it obviously changed quite a bit. And I spoke to the lady the next day and she was like, we're interested. I'm going to pitch it at our marketing like meetings. So publishers will have marketing meetings each week where they pitch ideas, they pitch new proposals. So she was like, I need to wait until Tuesday next week, but it's happening. And I was like, okay, well, this is positive. This is, okay, I've been here before, but this is promising. Like, I've never had it happen that quick and how it is, like, without any changes. So, you know, again, I laid all my cards on the table and I was like, I don't want to change the title. I don't want to change the cover. I don't want to change anything in the book. I'm happy with it. You know, I've already announced to people, and I think what I was conscious of is not that I was fixed in those ideas, but it was, I've already announced it's called Positively Wealthy. I've invested money into a whole web page on my website with all the branding, all the colors, all the titles. Everybody knows it's called Positively Wealthy. I can't really backtrack on that particularly. You know, although I haven't sort of released the cover, I couldn't backtrack that much as such. I mean, I could, but you know, I loved that title. I channeled it, I loved it. It felt 100% a hell yes to me for that title. So again, I just laid my cards on the table and I expected every bit of resistance, because that is what I've had time and time again from publishers where they're like, no, it's our way or the highway. And I'm like, well, that's not fair, is it? Like, that's not fair. It's a good title. So I didn't have that at all. Everything they were so accommodating on and so for it, like I was like, we love it, it's good, yes, we're happy with it. So again, during this process, had no attachment to it whatsoever. I was like, I think I just had so much going on else in my life which was chaotic that I was like, you really don't care. And I almost felt guilty. I said to my friend, I was like, I feel guilty that I don't care, but I was like, I just have so much stuff which is demanding my attention. And to finish that manuscript in case I do have to hand it in 2 weeks time to Sean, that I think I was just like, it is what it is. The universe will do what it does. I don't need to stress. If it's meant to be, it will be, you know? I had nothing to worry about. So we got pitched at the marketing meeting the next Tuesday. We'd obviously spoken before. I'd sent over the feedback from the test readers. Like, I'd sent everything basically. And I think they were just really impressed that I'd done so much. They were like, we have never had an author who has done so much. And I'm like, well, it's just because of how it is at my publishers. You know, the responsibility is more on the author than it is the publishing house. So I didn't want to say anything to Sean because I didn't know whether it was a thing or not at that point. But it came out with positive feedback, and 2 days later, I can't believe I'm saying this, 2 days later I had a traditional book publishing offer on my table, which is unheard of. So that it literally was a week process from initial email to offer on the table. But you know, I was transparent in the fact of, okay, with this, it is a little bit time restrictive, not to pressure you, but I do kind of need to know what I'm doing before I hand my manuscript into Sean, because obviously it would incur costs to go through the editing process. So I was just in shock because I've heard of this, where if a publishing house really loves someone, I've heard of like these miracle moments where in a week an offer is on the table, but you hear that for like big celebrities, like big, you know, authors and like people who have like a real big following and a big celebrity status, like not me. So I was just in shock. And like, also I'd always been told you're not going to get a traditional book publishing deal without a literary agent. And I negotiated my entire contract with the help of a very good friend, just to add. But we did everything. I did everything because I've studied traditional publishing and hybrid publishing so much. I even mentor people on it now, that I know this process like the back of my own hand, from having about 10 rejections and going through this process. So had a look at the offer, and obviously we negotiated. Of course you negotiate. So I spoke to my good friend George Lizos, who used to work for Hay House, who has had a lot of dealings with traditional publishers as well. So he has been an absolute star on this, and that's what I really want to say. Like, I have such angels around me who helped this all come together. So the first one was George, in terms of helping me to know whether it was a good deal, a good offer, and to help me to negotiate that and what I should be asking for, because, you know, some of the stuff he was saying, like, I actually didn't know. So it's an incredibly good learning process for me to learn what the industry standards are for traditional publishing, especially in the self-help industry, and to negotiate. And, you know, I could negotiate the cover. I negotiated keeping my cover because I love the cover more than life. It's all channels, the colours. I knew how that cover had to come out, so I was really passionate about keeping it. Even if I had to pay for it, I was passionate about keeping it. So it was important that they loved it too, obviously, otherwise that wouldn't have worked too well. And you know, I just laid all my cards out on the table. I was like, I want to know now whether you want to change me as a brand. I want to know, I'd rather know before I sign the contract, whether you want to change key themes in the book. And they came back and said, why would we want to change you? You're a brand, you have a completed manuscript. This is a completely different, you know, we're looking at something completely different to an unwritten manuscript. And she said, because you've got so much a brand, a strong branding, like a strong name for yourself, why would we want to change that? And I thought, this is what I have been looking for all my life. One publisher who doesn't want to change me as a person. So I was like, okay, this is all really good. This is all like really what I've always wanted. Okay, this is like good, really good. So I was a bit in shock, I think, because I, you know, in my head I was like, don't worry about this until you've got an offer on the table. And then I did have an offer on the table, and I was like, oh, okay, that's new, that's never happened before, and in a week with no literary agent. Okay, so I think like I was very torn as a fact of, this is like freaking amazing, I want to jump from the high heavens. And then I was also like, oh my god, what's the best thing to do here? Traditional Sean, traditional Sean. You know, a lot of my friends are saying you've got to do what's best for the book, and I knew it, and I know that's exactly what Sean would have said to me. And you know, I'm still a part of that Guy's House family. They are not getting rid of me. I mentor my authors, like my first books with them. Like, good luck getting rid of me. It's not happening. Like, I am well in that family, and I love them all to pieces. They are amazing, amazing, amazing people to work with. So I knew they would fully be supportive, which again is a very unique position to be in. If I had been with any other publisher, that would not have happened. If I'd signed a deal with them, I would have had to have stayed with them. It would have been probably virtually impossible to get out of that book deal. And I just think like how amazing the universe lined this up, that I had an understanding publisher who would let me get out of that contract with no, you know, heavy costs or, you know, penalties or anything. And I'm just so grateful that I was in a position where I know I would be fully supported, and that's what really helps my decision when I thought, look, you asked for that spiritual solution, you asked for this, you asked for that distribution, you asked for that book to come out traditionally, and even 2-3 years ago you asked for a traditional book publishing deal. So okay, maybe it wasn't meant to be for the first book, but the first book came out in exactly the way it needed to. But this book's where you get that manifestation. So once they'd obviously accepted the revised offer, like on negotiation and stuff, I was like, you've got nothing to argue with, Emma. You've got everything you wanted. And this was not about money for me. And that's what Hannah said to me. She said, it's not about money for you at all, is it? I said, no. I said, I've got money. Do you know what I mean? It's not about the money. This is about the authenticity, the integrity of the book, and this book coming out in the way I know it needs to. And I said, they don't want to change the book. They love it how it is. They're not here. And it's really odd because they'd never actually considered this book publishing company before. If I'm honest, I hadn't heard of them before. I don't know how I hadn't heard of them when you know who they are. Like, everybody's heard of them, but I'd never heard of them before. I'd never pitched to them before. So I had no sort of knowledge of it. Like, and I asked my friends who have kind of in the book industry, I said, what do you think of these? Have you worked with them? And everything was positive feedback. Everything was good. And even the authors they have, like, I was looking at the authors, I was like, Annie Lennox, Osho, okay, we got some big names here. So I was like, all of this feels good. Like, they've got big names in there. They're not just some small like publisher, and there's nothing wrong with that, of course not. Like, I have worked with small publishers, but I was like, this is good. This is good. So I really thought, like, okay, you didn't know about this publisher, they don't want to change you, they really want to champion your authenticity, and, you know, said to me, we're not going to come back with an edit of where we change everything, it's just going to be grammatical and obviously make sure it's factually correct. And that obviously is an important bit I do want in my book, that it reads right, it is spell checked, it is grammatically correct, and that it's factually correct as well. So I obviously knew that that was, you know, something which of course I want to happen. So that is a very, you know, thing that happens. But normally in the edit, they do change things. And this is where I hear all these horror stories of books coming out that aren't authentic to the author. So this is why I thought, I've got nothing to lose. Put all your cards on the table, ask all of the questions, and then make your decision from there. And it was almost like there wasn't like a clear decision of, it's up, like, it was just up to me. Every time I tuned in, every time I asked, it was like, it's up to you what you want to do. And I knew that it was, and I knew that in my heart that I knew this book had to come out with better distribution. I knew it had to come out this way. So when the offer was there, I was almost like, oh my God, I don't know what to do, because I guess I felt guilty that I'd gone along this path and it wasn't meant to be. But remember that conversation Sean and I had of, we didn't feel it was about the publisher at that time, but we knew that it was the time scale. So the book is coming out in June now. It's coming out the 9th of June, and pre-order will be the 9th of March, or in March. I don't know the exact pre-order date, but it'll be March. It's about 3 months before. So I signed my book deal, my traditional book publishing deal, and everything has, like, my word of 2020 was ease. And I looked at this before Mercury retrograde and had a little bit of a laugh to myself of what a joke that was. I don't think anything has been ease in 2020. You know, it's actually been a real tough year for me, if I'm truly honest. And then this is the one thing that in my whole year has come to me with ease. I mean, actually, I lie. Money comes to me with ease. I intend it all the time, so money comes to me with ease. But this, I was like, wow, that was ease. A week? That doesn't happen. A week. So I signed the deal, and I was obviously like so happy, and like everybody around me has been so incredibly happy, and I just never ever saw this coming. Ever. Like, ever. It just doesn't happen, especially not 2 weeks before you submit your completed manuscript for the editing process. So it was very much like it came in at the last minute, but for a very good reason. So I am delighted to announce that I have signed with Watkins Publishing House, which is one of the oldest, most established book publishing houses here in the UK. They've been a book publishing company since 1893, I think it is. And they even have one of the world's, I think it's the world's, or maybe the country, I don't know whether it's the world, but the country's oldest bookstores in London as well, Watkins Books, and also their magazine is Mind, Body, Spirit. So I was like, wow. I had no idea about this publishing house. The universe kept that one a little bit of a mystery to me. And then, you know, Watkins just happened to be looking for a book about money mindset and manifesting money, and oh, I just happened to have written that book and had it completed. So, you know, I had to be a bit flexible with the timescales, like, because I know, and George obviously taught me about this as well, in the fact of how book publishing works. Traditionally, you need a good 6 months before the book comes out for PR purposes, which I totally understood. And, you know, I wanted that for the book. So we've moved it to June, and June feels better for me. It's good numerology for me, although it's in a Mercury retrograde, ironically. I don't think I care. I don't think I care about that, to be honest. I didn't have a choice in the published date, but the 9th of June feels good to me. So I'm, you know, it's good numerology for me. So I'm happy with that. But I'm just so pleased. And Sean has been, honestly, like the best best person ever. Like, he was so happy for me, which I knew he would be, and I think he secretly wanted it. I think, you know, he always said to me, I want you to get that traditional book publishing deal. So I think he was sort of hoping that this happened as well, so that we both knew this book needed to come out differently, and that was the spiritual solution. So he was incredibly supportive, has been incredibly amazing during this transition process of handing everything over and it being as smooth and seamless and quick as possible, because with their timelines, things have had to move quite quickly to obviously get it ready for June. So it has been a bit of a whirlwind last 3 weeks, if I'm honest. Never saw that one coming, which I think is just pretty much an analogy of my life. So I think it just, you know, overall with this story, it just proves like there is divine timing for everything. I got that traditional book publishing deal like I wanted all those years ago, just for the second book, and I knew in my heart of hearts this book had to come out differently, and I stuck to that intuition. I trusted, and in that moment when, you know, Sean and I agreed that we probably would have to do it the spiritual queen way, like the first book, I surrendered it and I called in those spiritual solutions. I said, look, I trust my intuition, I trust what I'm vibing here, universe, so please help me out. What do I need to do right now? And hours later, that email came in, and you look what ease happened with that. If you know the publishing world, you'll know how uncommon that is to happen, and it's just incredible. And learning more about Watkins, talking to the Watkins team and working with them just reminds me that there are good people out there. There are good aligned people, even in that traditional sense, that the universe was aligning that perfect publisher with good ethics, with good morals, who would support that vision I have for that book as well. So I guess it, like, I always say this, but whenever something like happens like that, I go into shock, and I definitely had to have a couple of days to process it. So it happened when I went up to London, when I met Wes and Hannah. So we had lots of celebratory dances for that. And I am definitely celebrating with my friends and family for this as well, because it's massive, it's incredible, and I'm just so grateful to have this opportunity, and have this opportunity to have an incredibly amazing first publisher who allowed me to go to the publisher that was most aligned for this book, for George for helping me, to advise me, and to be an incredible friend who had my back 100% and just helped me because he was excited, which means the world to me. And then obviously to have Watkins support me and to bring this book and have the same passion and vision and excitement for this book as I do, I literally couldn't wish for anything better, if I'm honest. Like, it just shocks me. I'm just like, oh my god. So the book is coming out in June, so apologies to anybody, like I've excited everyone with it, but it will come. It's coming in June the 9th, and obviously the pre-order will be out in March, so you guys will know. I will let you know when obviously I can announce the cover. The cover is beautiful. So Michael from That Guy's House has been incredible in designing that, and he is an absolute star. So again, Michael as well really helped this book in its process, and, you know, transition that over to Watkins as well, which is incredible. So I love the cover. Oh, I'm just so excited for this book. I really am, because it's so needed, and the fact that I have so much amazing feedback from the test readers as well, and their excitement just fills me with joy as well. So really this video should have been called How I Manifested My Second Book Deal, because I mean, I just had no idea, and it just proves with that weight, that weight didn't necessarily mean right that instance. Like, you know, I obviously had to sign with Sean originally to go along that process for however many months till we got to November. But that wait was actually, the book was meant to come out in June with a different publisher in the way that I'd always envisioned it to. So yeah, it's a funny old way the universe works, really funny old way. And again, like, you look how much surrender I had in that process. Normal me would be like, oh my god, let's obsess about this, let's think of everything, every outcome, everything that's gonna happen, and we're gonna think about it constantly. Whereas because Mercury retrograde had literally face planted me and been like, yep, you're gonna get back down on the floor, like Brene Brown's Arena of Life analogy was pretty much me in this Mercury retrograde, down on the floor and then getting back up, well, down she goes, getting back up, no, down again. So really, like, I think because my mind was literally like, I just need to like feel good right now. I just need to like literally deal with everything else that's happening and like focus on that and getting spiritual solutions for that stuff, because that was pressing stuff that I think my attention was elsewhere, which is the whole letting go process of when you surrender, when you let go, when you're looking the other way and focusing on other stuff, boom, that's when it happens. And because there was no resistance, I had accepted both outcomes. I was so pleased to publish with Sean and go down the same route if I had to, knowing that at some point the universe would, you know, bring in a solution to help us distribute it better, maybe further along. And also if it did happen, that it would be for the highest good and that would be amazing as well. So I didn't have any resistance because I thought, I've laid my cards out on the table. I have nothing to lose. I've been true to myself. This isn't about money. This is about helping people and how this book can come out in a way that is going to reach people and help people and connect with people. I believe that's why it aligned so quickly. So I'm taking a lot of manifestation lessons from this manifestation of, right, don't think about it, surrender it all, flow with ease, put your cards on the table, like you have nothing to lose. And I think that's my motto now in life of, I have nothing to lose, so I'm just gonna go with what my intuition tells me. And I think it's a real big, again, reminder for me to listen to my intuition. And that's what I want to say to you guys. If your intuition is never wrong, look how much my intuition made me surrender, ask for that spiritual solution and follow what I knew had to happen for that book. I could have just been like, right, just ignore your intuition, settle for the fact you haven't got another publisher, no one else is interested, so therefore basically you just got to go down that route and accept it and suck it up. But I thought, no, my intuition is screaming at me, I can't ignore this. And that's what I really want to say to you is trust your vibes, trust your intuition. We had that wait since February, March, April this year. That wait was a reason. That wait only revealed itself in this Mercury retrograde. And that's the whole point of Mercury retrograde as well. Think about it, that Mercury retrograde slows us down so we can reevaluate and reassess what we're doing and give us that extra time to think, is this really for me? So I think it's no coincidence it happened in Mercury retrograde. Obviously didn't sign the contract in Mercury retrograde. I waited till it was over. It was only a day or two, so I was like, that's fine for me, because, you know, not that I worry that signing stuff would be bad in Mercury retrograde, but I thought, this Mercury retrograde has been hell, so I'm just gonna wait. I'm not gonna jinx anything. I'm just gonna wait until you know, it's past, it's in its shadow phase. So I think, you know, if you've had a tough Mercury retrograde as well, like take this as an example of that redirection had to happen for me. Look at the chaos that was happening in my life and then boom, that manifestation happened. And that's why I joked and said it's crazy that chaos, disruption and upset had to happen to let abundance come in, but I'd created that space, I'd created it. So it's just, it confuses me how I even manifested it, if I'm honest, but I just don't question it. I'm like, right, well, it was in alignment, you had your focus elsewhere, so you were fully surrendered to it, you asked for solutions, the universe delivered it, and it was obviously the right time for it to come through. So again, don't question it. Just, you know, I'm so grateful for this and I'm so happy that you guys are going to get to read this book really, really soon. So I'm a published author, I'm a traditionally published author, I was already a published author, but you know, it feels weird to say that, it feels so weird. And I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to That Guy's House for everything they do, and it will make me emotional because I just love them so much and I'm not going anywhere. Like I said, I am tying myself to That Guy's House. I'm like, you are not getting rid of me that easily. So I will absolutely continue to work with them. I'm of course gonna finish mentoring my authors with them, and I'm just so excited for this book to come out in June. And obviously a big thank you to George as well for all of his amazing advice and all of his amazing good vibes as well. And it just proves that the right people come into your life to help you with that process at the right time. And it just was so aligned that I had these angels around me helping me, that my old publisher was, or my first book publisher was so supportive and so, you know, amazing throughout that process, and that Watkins have been equally amazing as well to transition that. So I literally couldn't have asked for anything better, and if that's not proof that everything works out in the end, I don't know what is. So sorry guys, this has been a bit of a long one, but it's a bit of a long journey to explain, if I'm honest. And I wanted to obviously, you know, give you everything that happens along the way and give you some reflection of how that has, you know, given me food for thought of how to probably handle the rest of my life, if I'm honest. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and I would love to hear your thoughts, so make sure to comment down below because I reply to them all. A big thank you to everybody for watching this, a big thank you to everyone who's made this possible, and a big thank you to the universe as well, because without, you know, our spirit teams, our angels, the universe, none of this would be possible, and our beliefs. So I thank myself for always trusting my intuition and believing. But, you know, believe in yourself here of if it doesn't happen the first time, it can happen the second time, and there's a reason for that, and there's a reason for everything, as you can clearly see within this story. So I hope this story has inspired you. If you have any questions, always give me a message or leave a comment down below. And I hope you all have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate all your views and likes. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, because I would love to see you again soon. And don't forget, you can join my free Law of Attraction support group over on Facebook, where you can join myself and other like-minded souls, where we talk all things Law of Attraction and positivity. So I will see you in my next video, which will be next week. Lots of love, guys.